The mysterious encounter. The stars were silent. It was just another night in the vast universe, but something had changed. Far above Earth, in the cold reaches of space, a massive alien ship emerged from the darkness. It wasn't just any ship. It was a whole empire, its size almost beyond comprehension. The ship, with its gleaming metallic surface, reflected the cold light of distant stars. It had traveled across galaxies to reach this tiny blue planet, and its mission was clear: conquer and control. The Empire's name was known across the galaxy, a name that sent shivers down the spines of those who had encountered it before: Zarathvar. The Zarathvar Empire had conquered many worlds, leaving no trace of resistance. Their technology was far superior to anything the galaxy's other civilizations had. Planets fell before them like leaves in the wind, but Earth was different. The moment their ships entered the Earth's atmosphere, the aliens felt a strange pull, a force that was unfamiliar. The planet was teeming with life, but there was something unique about these humans. On board the lead ship, Commander Vrix had been watching Earth for months. He studied the humans closely, analyzing their behavior. From their chaotic wars to their unrelenting drive for survival, the humans seemed to have an endless capacity for conflict. But Commander Vrix wasn't concerned. He had witnessed species that fought back, only to be crushed under the might of the Zarathvar. He believed this would be no different. As the ship descended toward Earth, Vrix activated the ship's massive communication array. He sent a message to Earth's leaders. It was simple, cold, and straightforward: surrender now or face destruction. Back on Earth, news spread quickly. Nations scrambled to prepare, unsure of what they were facing. Most of humanity felt fear, while others felt defiance. Yet, none of them knew what awaited them. The message from the Zarathvar was just the beginning of something far larger. The aliens' arrival wasn't just a simple invasion. It was an event that would shake humanity to its core. The humans, still unaware of what they were up against, began their response. Some took up arms, some gathered in the streets, and some started praying. But none of them knew what would happen next. In the command center of the alien ship, Vrix waited for Earth's response. His mind calculated the odds, confident that humanity's response would be predictable. They would likely fight back, but it would be in vain. The Zarathvar had weapons capable of wiping out entire cities with a single strike. Yet, as Vrix watched Earth's movements on the screens, he felt something, an energy that he couldn't quite describe. The humans weren't just responding with fear. They were fighting with something more, something that Vrix had never seen before in any of the worlds he had conquered. It was raw, it was untamed, and it was relentless. The Zarathvar Empire had never met a species like this. As their ships entered Earth's atmosphere, Vrix watched as humans quickly began to organize. It was as if they had an instinct for battle, a primal urge that surged through them. They didn't hesitate. They didn't panic. They were preparing to face an enemy far stronger than themselves. And they were ready to fight. But Vrix wasn't concerned, yet. He believed that all species, no matter how fierce, eventually crumbled under the might of the Zarathvar. The aliens had the power, the technology, and the firepower to crush entire civilizations without breaking a sweat. As the alien fleet positioned itself above Earth, the humans below took their first steps into the unknown. They had no idea who their enemy truly was or how advanced their technology was. What they did know was that they had no choice but to stand and fight. On Earth, the sky turned dark with the shadows of the alien ships. Cities began to evacuate, but not everyone was afraid. Some felt an urge to fight that couldn't be explained, an urge that came from deep within them. It was as if they were born for this moment. And in that very moment, as the alien ships hovered above Earth, Commander Vrix had no idea what he was about to face. He thought it would be a quick and easy conquest, but the human's strange spirit of resistance was beginning to make him question everything he thought he knew. The first battle was about to begin. The aliens had underestimated the humans, And as Vrix watched the humans prepare for what seemed like an impossible fight, he realized that this wasn't just another world to conquer. This was going to be something different, something he couldn't even predict. The humans weren't like anything he had encountered before. They weren't afraid, and they certainly weren't going to back down. A test of strength. The moment the aliens landed, the world held its breath. People stared up at the dark shapes of the alien ships as they hovered above the Earth, their advanced technology casting a shadow over entire cities. There was no escape. The power of the Zarathvar Empire was undeniable. For a moment, humanity stood still, unsure of what to do. But then, something unexpected happened. People didn't cower. Instead, they began to rally. They gathered in their streets, on their battlefields, in their homes, preparing to fight back, even when the odds seemed impossible. Governments began to organize their forces, but it wasn't just their armies that moved. Civilians, too, armed themselves. Fighters, scientists, teachers, and farmers alike stood up. The Earth itself seemed to be waking up to face this threat, and it was clear. Humanity wasn't going to roll over and die. On the alien ships, Commander Vrix watched with curiosity and caution. He had seen civilizations fall before, but this was different. These humans had no advanced weapons or technology comparable to the Zarathvar. Their weapons were primitive, guns, tanks, and bombs, but they had something else, something harder to understand. The commander couldn't place it at first. Was it desperation? Was it defiance? He ordered the alien ships to begin their attack. They launched massive blasts of energy at Earth's major cities. The destruction was immediate, and the world cried out in agony as buildings crumbled and the air grew thick with smoke. Yet even in the midst of this chaos, something remarkable happened. The humans didn't retreat. They didn't even hesitate. Instead, they fought back with everything they had. Jets flew into the sky, soldiers stormed through the wreckage, and underground resistance groups began to make their moves. The world had united, and it was clear. Humanity was determined to defend their planet. The aliens had expected fear, but all they found was a stubborn refusal to surrender. The humans fought back fiercely, using what little they had left to inflict damage on the alien ships. Some of their planes, outdated and old, still managed to hit the underbelly of the alien crafts with precision strikes. It wasn't much, but it was enough to cause a small ripple in the alien force. It wasn't the damage that shocked Vrix. It was the fact that the humans kept coming. Again and again, they launched counterattacks, not caring about the odds. It seemed that every time the aliens crushed one part of humanity, another rose to take its place. As the hours passed, the aliens realized they had underestimated their enemy. The human will was not something that could be broken easily. Despite the overwhelming power of the Zarathvar fleet, the humans weren't surrendering. They didn't give in. They were relentless. But even with all the alien firepower, the humans weren't winning. The aliens' attacks were devastating, and the planet was quickly being reduced to rubble. But something about this struggle had started to rattle Commander Vrix. He had been a part of countless battles, and he had never seen anything like this before. These humans, who were technologically inferior, were not backing down. They weren't even slowing down. The aliens began to grow more cautious. They had thought this would be quick. But now, they were beginning to realize that this fight was not going to be decided by superior firepower alone. It would take something more, something the Zarathvar Empire didn't understand. The humans, despite the losses, began to adapt quickly. They weren't as powerful as the aliens, but they were quick learners. As the battle dragged on, the humans started to develop new strategies, working together to find weaknesses in the alien ships. They didn't have the technology to defeat the Zarathvar directly, but they had something else: ingenuity. The resistance forces, while outmatched, had learned to fight like no other species had before. Their creativity and will to win were beginning to turn the tide in small ways. The aliens' technological superiority was still evident, but the humans' persistence and resourcefulness were starting to chip away at the invincible facade the Zarathvar had built around themselves. In the heart of the alien command ship, Commander Vrix's mind raced. He had never faced an enemy that fought like this. The humans had no hope of winning this war. Not yet. But the fact that they were still standing after so many losses began to gnaw at him. His confidence started to fade, replaced by something he hadn't experienced in years: doubt. For the first time in his long career, Commander Vrix was forced to consider the possibility that the humans might not give up. That perhaps they couldn't be defeated so easily. The endless human will. The war was far from over. Earth lay in ruins, its once thriving cities now nothing more than smoldering ashes. The sky was darkened by the shadow of the alien ships, and the air was thick with the sound of explosions and the cries of the wounded. Yet, despite the overwhelming destruction, humanity refused to break. Commander Vrix watched from his command center as reports came in. The human resistance had been crushed in several key locations, but there was one thing that never seemed to change. The humans would not surrender. No matter how many cities fell, no matter how many of their people were lost, the humans continued to fight with everything they had. The alien forces had destroyed entire armies, obliterated infrastructures, and brought humanity to the brink of extinction. But still, the humans fought back. In one city, a small group of survivors had taken to the streets, armed with nothing more than makeshift weapons and a fierce desire to survive. Their resolve was unshakable. They built traps, used the rubble from destroyed buildings to create barricades, and fought off alien patrols with every ounce of strength they had left. To the aliens, it seemed almost foolish. But to the humans, it was just another day in the fight for survival. Meanwhile, Commander Vrix issued orders for the aliens to push harder. He instructed them to target the last remaining human strongholds, hoping to end the resistance once and for all. But no matter how much pressure the Zarathvar applied, humanity refused to yield. The humans seemed to regenerate faster than they could be defeated. Every time the aliens took one step forward, the humans took 2 steps back, regrouping, planning, and preparing for the next battle. On Earth, the war was turning into a battle of attrition. The alien fleet, despite its immense firepower, was beginning to show signs of strain. The constant skirmishes, the guerrilla tactics, the relentless drive of the humans, all of it was starting to take its toll. The aliens had expected this battle to be over long ago, yet the humans remained. They didn't just survive. They fought back in ways that Vrix had never imagined possible. The battle in the skies was one of the clearest examples of the humans' relentless will. The aliens, with their superior technology, had obliterated most of Earth's air force. Yet small groups of human pilots still managed to stay in the fight. They would swoop in on alien ships, causing damage before retreating into the clouds, only to return again hours later for another strike. Their tactics were unpredictable, and their pilots showed an unmatched willingness to sacrifice everything for the cause. One particular human pilot, known only as Captain Raynor, became a symbol of humanity's undying resistance. His aircraft was an old, battered fighter jet, far from the advanced machines used by the aliens, but he flew it with such precision and determination that the alien forces began to take notice. Despite having lost most of his squadron, Raynor refused to give up. He became a beacon of hope for the humans, and his name began to spread among the resistance forces. Even though Captain Raynor's plane was often damaged and nearly unfit for flight, he continued to rise up, striking the aliens again and again. Vrix couldn't understand it. These humans didn't just fight for survival. They fought for something deeper, something that went beyond victory or defeat. It was a force that had no end. Even when they were beaten, they would find a way to stand again. It wasn't just physical endurance. It was a strength of will that could not be quantified or measured. It was something the Zarathvar Empire had never encountered before, and it was starting to break through the alien forces' carefully calculated strategies. On the ground, the humans were similarly resourceful. In the ruins of a once thriving city, a group of civilian engineers turned the wreckage of alien technology into their advantage. They created traps, weaponized old technology, and used their knowledge of the alien fleet's weaknesses to launch surprise attacks. They didn't have the weapons or power the aliens did, but they knew their planet better than anyone. They knew how to survive. The human spirit had taken Vrix by surprise. For all his years of military experience, he had never once faced an enemy that could endure this kind of hardship. The humans were not just fighting for victory. They were fighting because they had no other choice. They fought not because they were powerful, but because they refused to be defeated. As the weeks wore on, the alien forces began to lose their momentum. Despite their technological superiority, the constant resistance wore them down. Alien commanders began reporting higher casualty rates, and the alien fleet was running low on resources. Humans, with their endless adaptability, continued to press on, and the alien forces could not keep up with their unexpected tactics. For the first time in his career, Commander Vrix felt doubt. It wasn't the threat of losing that shook him. It was the realization that this enemy, these humans, weren't just going to fold. They couldn't be broken, not by force, not by tactics, and not by superior technology. The Zarathvar Empire was facing a foe like no other, and Vrix knew it would take more than just brute force to bring them to their knees. A turning point. As the battle raged on, the once proud alien fleet began to show cracks. The relentless waves of human resistance, though small in scale compared to the sheer power of the Zarathvar Empire, had begun to take their toll. The aliens, who had once believed themselves to be invincible, now found themselves struggling against an enemy they could not understand. Commander Vrix had been confident. He had ordered an all-out offensive, expecting that within weeks, the humans would break under the weight of the Zarathvar's technology. But what he didn't expect was how quickly the humans adapted. Despite the aliens' advanced weaponry, the humans seemed to be learning faster than they could anticipate. Their strategies were unpredictable, almost as if they could anticipate the movements of the alien forces. The turning point came in the most unlikely of ways. It was during a surprise assault on one of the alien command centers that the humans scored their first major victory. A small group of human soldiers, led by a brave commander named General Carter, infiltrated one of the aliens' key supply depots. Using nothing but their knowledge of the terrain and sheer determination, they managed to sabotage the aliens' advanced communication systems. Without the ability to communicate efficiently, the alien fleet began to experience confusion. Orders got delayed. Ships began operating on their own, their movements disjointed. The Zarathvar had never faced a situation where their communications had been severed, and the disruption caused chaos within their ranks. The humans, however, had no such issues. They relied on guerrilla tactics, small cells working in tandem to outwit and outlast their superior enemies. The sabotage created an opening. The human forces, seizing the moment, launched an assault on the weakened command center. Though the aliens fought back fiercely, the damage to their operations was already done. Human soldiers, using their tenacity and knowledge of the terrain, outflanked the aliens. It wasn't just superior firepower. It was strategy and willpower that turned the tide. Back on the alien mothership, Commander Vrix received the report. His eyes widened as he read the message. Human resistance has breached one of our most secure locations. Communications are disrupted. Several units are reporting internal chaos. Vrix's mind raced. How could this happen? These humans were supposed to be weak, inferior, yet they had managed to strike at the heart of the Zarathvar Empire. This wasn't supposed to be possible. For the first time, Vrix felt something he had never experienced. Fear. He had underestimated these humans, thinking them too primitive, too disorganized to pose any real threat. But now, it was clear that they were capable of far more than he had imagined. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting with a purpose that the Zarathvar couldn't understand. The chaos caused by the sabotage spread. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, were struggling to regain control. Their confidence was slipping. The human will to fight was beginning to break the chains of the alien empire's superiority. And the humans, led by generals and commanders who understood the cost of this war, were now seizing the opportunity to strike harder. In the Human Resistance Command, General Carter was briefed on the success of the operation. His face remained stern, but inside, he felt the spark of hope for the first time. He knew that the battle was far from over, but they had just made the first real dent in the Zarathvar's nearly impenetrable armor. The victory was small in the grand scheme of things, but it was a symbol. It showed that the aliens could be beaten, that their hold on Earth wasn't unbreakable. General Carter gathered his forces. His voice, normally calm and controlled, now carried a weight of inspiration. This is just the beginning. We've shown them that we can fight back, that we will never be broken. We've given them a crack in their armor. Now we exploit it. The word spread like wildfire among the human resistance. The victory at the command center sparked a new wave of hope and determination. The humans, battered and bruised, now had the strength to believe that they could actually defeat the alien invaders. The Zarathvar were beginning to feel something they hadn't experienced before: vulnerability. The cracks in their seemingly invincible empire were widening, and for the first time, they were starting to question their certainty. Could they really crush this race of humans? Could they truly dominate a species that had shown such relentless will? As the humans rallied, regrouped, and prepared for the next wave of attacks, Commander Vrix was left with a choice. He could continue to push forward, relying on his fleet's superior technology, or he could rethink his approach. But the fear had already set in. The humans were not going to be easy to crush, and that knowledge began to spread throughout the ranks of the Zarathvar Empire. For the first time in his life, Commander Vrix was unsure of the outcome. The humans were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their place in the universe, and that, Vrix realized, was a force more powerful than any weapon or technology. The final realization. Days turned into weeks, and the war continued to rage across Earth. The Zarathvar fleet, despite its immense size and technological superiority, was slowly being worn down. The human resistance, though still vastly outmatched, had proven that their determination was far stronger than the aliens had ever imagined. In the midst of this chaos, Commander Vrix sat in his command room, staring out at the holographic displays of Earth below. He had been in countless battles, seen countless civilizations fall, but never had he encountered an enemy like this. The humans weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting with a resolve that went beyond anything he could understand. It was relentless, unyielding, and worst of all, it was contagious. Vrix had ordered his forces to tighten their grip on the planet, to crush the humans once and for all. But every time the Zarathvar took a step forward, the humans responded with twice the force. They weren't just fighting. They were learning, adapting, and becoming stronger with each passing day. One morning, as the sky above Earth darkened with the shadows of alien ships, the humans launched an unprecedented counterattack. In a coordinated effort across multiple continents, resistance groups struck at the heart of the Zarathvar's remaining strongholds. From underground bases to the alien supply ships that had been terrorizing Earth for months, the humans targeted everything with precision and ruthless efficiency. The humans had learned the weaknesses of their enemies. They had discovered the flaws in the alien technology, the gaps in their defenses, and most importantly, they had learned to strike where it hurt. They sabotaged energy cores, destroyed communication relays, and systematically dismantled the alien force's ability to wage war. It wasn't just about fighting. It was about crippling the invaders in ways that Commander Vrix never thought possible. The assault on the alien mothership was the turning point. The human forces, using all their ingenuity and resourcefulness, managed to infiltrate one of the most heavily guarded ships in the fleet. A small group of soldiers, led by a daring commander named Captain Rayner, boarded the ship. They fought their way through alien soldiers, causing havoc inside the ship's core systems. As they planted explosives deep within the heart of the vessel, they left behind a trail of destruction. In space, the mothership began to shudder. Its massive form, once so powerful and fearsome, was now in chaos. The explosions rippled through its structure, causing panic among the Zarathvar. As Commander Vrix watched in disbelief, the reality hit him like a blow to the chest. The humans had done it. They had struck at the core of their empire. Back on Earth, the celebrations were short-lived. Though the alien mothership was crippled, the war was far from over. The humans knew that this was just the beginning of the end. But for the first time, they saw a flicker of hope. The aliens, despite their superior weapons, were no longer invincible. The humans had broken through the facade of invulnerability that had protected the Zarathvar Empire for centuries. And now, the aliens were finally realizing that their conquest of Earth wasn't just a matter of overwhelming force. It was about survival, and the humans had proven they were capable of anything to protect their world. Commander Vrix, watching from his command ship, felt a cold dread creeping into his bones. The message from Earth's resistance was clear. The humans would never give up. They would never stop fighting, no matter the cost. And for the first time in his career, Vrix realized that he wasn't facing a battle of technology or firepower. He was facing a war of wills. The human spirit, their will to survive, was something that even the might of the Zarathvar could not crush. No matter how many cities they destroyed, no matter how many lives they took, the humans would always rise again. The fight would never end, because the humans would never stop fighting. As the alien fleet scrambled to regroup, Commander Vrix was left to ponder the one question he couldn't answer. How do you defeat an enemy that has no limit to its will? The aftermath. The war that had ravaged Earth for months was nearing its final chapter. The alien invaders, once so confident in their power, were now scattered, retreating from every corner of the planet. The humans had done the impossible. Against all odds, against an enemy far more advanced in both technology and firepower, humanity had prevailed. They had faced extinction and emerged victorious. Commander Vrix sat in his command room, staring at the chaotic reports flooding in from all across the planet. His fleet was in disarray. The once mighty armada of the Zarathvar was crippled, its ships destroyed or severely damaged by the humans' relentless attacks. The once feared empire, which had swept through the galaxy without a single defeat, was now crumbling before a species they had underestimated. It was something Vrix never thought he would witness, an empire as great as the Zarathvar, defeated by a species with no real technological advantage. The humans, for their part, were not celebrating in the way the Zarathvar had expected. There were no grand parades or triumphant speeches. Earth, though liberated, had been shattered. Cities lay in ruins, and the cost of the war had been devastating. Millions of lives had been lost, and much of the planet was left scared. But amidst the wreckage, there was a quiet, undeniable sense of victory. The humans had won, not through the strength of their weapons or their armies, but through something far greater, their unyielding will to survive. On the battlefield, the survivors gathered. General Carter, who had led the charge against the alien forces, stood before his soldiers, his face solemn but resolute. "We've fought for more than just survival," he said. "We've fought for our future, for our children, and for every soul on this planet. We may have lost much, but we will rebuild. We will rise again." As the resistance forces regrouped and began to rebuild their world, the message was clear. Earth had been broken, but it was not defeated. The humans had proven that their will could not be crushed, no matter how overwhelming the odds. They had fought for their survival, and in the process, they had earned their place in the universe. Meanwhile, Commander Vrix was forced to confront the impossible. The Zarathvar Empire had never been in a situation like this before. Their forces, once so powerful, were now in retreat. As he watched the last of his fleet depart from Earth's atmosphere, Vrix knew that this defeat would echo throughout the galaxy. The humans had shown the universe that there was something stronger than technology, something that could not be conquered by even the most powerful empire. The retreat of the Zarathvar was not just a retreat from Earth, It was a retreat from a future they had not seen coming. The humans had proven something undeniable. They had shown the universe that no matter how advanced a species might be, there was no force stronger than the will to survive. And that, in the end, was something the Zarathar could not defeat. As the last alien ships left Earth's atmosphere, the humans stood together. They had endured. They had resisted. And now they could look to the future. The scars of war would take time to heal, but the humans had proven that they would not be broken. The Earth, their home, was still theirs. And as long as they stood united, no enemy, no matter how powerful, would ever be able to take that from them. Commander Vrix, in his last moments in orbit, looked down at Earth one final time. He had come to conquer, to rule. Instead, he left with nothing. The humans had shown him something he would never forget. The strength of the human spirit could never be measured by technology or firepower. It could only be measured by the determination to fight, to never give up, no matter the cost. And as the last alien ships vanished into the vastness of space, the humans were left with the quiet victory of knowing that, for now, their home was safe. But more importantly, they had learned something about themselves. They were a species that could not be broken, a species that could not be defeated. They were a force to be reckoned with. The humans had shown the galaxy that their story was just beginning.